Corporal James Whitt peered through his periscope, the engine of his Sherman tank ticking as it cooled. It was 0847 hours on June 14, 1944, 3 miles west of Corian, France. The air inside the tank was thick with the smell of burnt cordite and sweat. 240 yards out, the tree line loomed, dark and silent. Too silent. Whitt didn't know it yet, but in the next 8 minutes his loader would do something so unorthodox, so completely against doctrine, that it would be called reckless by some, brilliant by others, and eventually studied in armored warfare courses for decades. The Germans were out there, waiting patiently, and Whitt's crew was about to face something no amount of training had prepared them for. No one expected them to survive the morning. Private First Class Danny Kowalski wasn't born a soldier. He was born a grocery clerk from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A skinny kid with fast hands and a head for organizing. His father ran a small corner store in Polish Hill, and from the age of 12, Danny worked the register, stocked shelves, and rotated inventory. He could spot an expired can from across an aisle and restock a shelf faster than anyone in the neighborhood. Men at basic training mocked him for it, calling him grocer and laughing when he arranged his footlocker like a store display, everything labeled, everything positioned for speed. His drill sergeant thought he was obsessive. His bunkmates thought he was strange. But when Danny volunteered for tank duty and was assigned as a loader, something clicked. The inside of a Sherman's turret was just another cramped storeroom. The ammo racks were shelves, the shells, products. And in combat, speed wasn't about strength. It was about economy of motion, about knowing exactly where your hand needed to go without looking. War had a cruel way of turning odd skills into lifelines. And Danny's hands, those quick, practiced grocery store hands, were about to rewrite the manual on how fast a Sherman could kill. The hedgerow country of Normandy was a death trap for American armor. Every field was a potential kill zone, bordered by thick earthen walls and ancient vegetation that blocked sight lines and turned every advance into a blind gamble. The Germans knew this terrain intimately. They'd fortified it, mined it, and positioned their PaK-40 anti-tank guns in defilated positions that made them nearly invisible until they fired. In the last 48 hours, the 2nd Armored Division had lost 17 tanks in this sector alone. Burning Shermans dotted the landscape like funeral pyres. The 75mm gun on a Sherman could penetrate most German armor at medium range, but only if the crew survived long enough to get a shot off. German crews were faster, better trained, more experienced. The weather wasn't helping. Morning fog clung to the low ground, reducing visibility to under 200 yards. The ground was soft from 2 days of rain. Mud sucked at tracks, slowed traverse times, and made repositioning sluggish and loud. Intelligence reported at least 2 Panzer IVs and multiple infantry positions in the woods ahead. The mission was simple. Push through, secure the crossroads, support the infantry advance. Nothing survived here for long. But Whitt's crew had one advantage the Germans didn't know about yet. Something so small, so seemingly insignificant, that it hadn't even been noticed during morning inspection. Danny Kowalski had rearranged the ammo. The German machine gun opened up first, a sustained burst that sparked off the Sherman's glacis plate like angry hornets. Whitt's voice cracked over the intercom. "Gunner, tree line, 11 o'clock, 220 yards, infantry position behind logs." Sergeant Bill Marsh, the gunner, traversed left. The turret whined. Through his sight he found the target, a dark, horizontal shape, muzzle flashes winking like fireflies. "Identified! Fire!" The 75mm bucked. The breech slammed backward with a metallic crash that rattled teeth. Smoke filled the turret. Through the haze, Marsh saw the hit, the log pile disintegrating, bodies tumbling. But before the smoke even cleared, Danny's hands were already moving. Most loaders grabbed shells from wherever they could reach, usually the ready rack on the turret floor, a random mix of AP and HE. Danny didn't. His hand went exactly 6 inches left, pulled an HE round from a position he'd marked that morning with a chalk line, spun it, and slammed it home. The breech closed with a clean clack. "Up!" Danny shouted. 3 seconds! Marsh blinked. The standard reload time was 5 to 7 seconds, sometimes 10 under stress. 3 seconds. "Target, second position, 10 o'clock, 180 yards!" The gun fired again, and Danny was already reaching for the next shell. The Germans hadn't expected the second shot so fast. A Pac 40 crew was repositioning when the HE round detonated 8 feet from their position, shredding the gun shield and scattering the crew. Whit spotted movement. More infantry scrambling through the hedgerow, trying to flank left. "Gunner, hedge, 9 o'clock, 150 yards. Troops in the open!" Marsh traversed, fired. The canister round turned 30 yards of hedgerow into a kill zone. "Up!" Danny's voice. Steady, calm. 2.5 seconds! Another target, another shot. The rhythm was building now. Identify, traverse, fire, reload. But it wasn't just speed. Danny had done something no one in the manual had ever considered. He'd reorganized the entire ammo storage by sequence of likely use. HE rounds on the left side of the ready rack, exactly where his left hand naturally fell after the breech opened. AP rounds staggered on the right. Canister rounds in the sponson rack, marked with tape, positioned for a blind grab. Every motion was economical. No wasted movement, no searching, no hesitation. The fourth kill came at 08:51 hours. A German half-track trying to withdraw across open ground. An AP round tore through the engine block. The vehicle lurched, rolled, stopped. Figures bailed out. Marsh caught them with a Koch's machine gun, but the enemy was learning. The return fire intensified. A Panzerfaust rocket screamed past the turret, missing by inches. Mud geysered up on the left side. A near miss from something heavier. Mortar fire, probably. Whit ordered the driver to reverse 20 yards, reposition behind thicker cover. The fog was lifting. That was bad. It gave them better sight lines, but it also meant the Germans could see them clearly now. "Contact! Right side! Panzer IV! Hull down! 280 yards!" Marsh's stomach tightened. A Panzer IV could punch through a Sherman's frontal armor at that range. The German tank's gun was already traversing towards them. A race now, pure and simple. Whoever fired first lived. "Gunner! AP! Track junction!" Marsh found the target. The Panzer's lower hull just visible above a berm. A small target. A hard shot. Danny's hand moved. The AP round was already coming up. He'd anticipated the call, knew what was needed before Whit finished speaking. The shell slid home. "Up!" Marsh fired. The round struck low, exactly where it needed to. The Panzer's track exploded in a shower of metal links. The tank slewed sideways, immobilized, its gun swinging wildly off target. "Hit! Reload! Finish him!" Another AP round. Danny didn't even look at the rack. His hand knew. "Up!" The second shot penetrated the turret ring. Smoke poured from the German tank's hatches. 5 kills in 4 minutes, but the Germans weren't done. A second Panzer appeared from the tree line, this one moving. Turret already aligned. The first shot came before Whit could call it. The round hit the Sherman's right track assembly. The tank lurched violently. Inside, the crew was thrown against their stations. Whit's head cracked against the periscope mount. Blood ran down his temple. "We're tracked! Driver, rock us! Give Marsh an angle! The driver gunned the engine, spinning the left track, pivoting the disabled Sherman. Slowly. Too slowly. The German tank was reloading. Marsh traversed right hard. Found the Panzer in his sight. 240 yards, moving target. Hull down behind a rise. Steady. Steady. Danny already had the AP round in his hands, waiting, watching the breach. Ready! The German fired again. The round hit the turret's side armor, a glancing blow that screamed off into the morning air, leaving a deep gouge, but no penetration. Luck. Pure luck. Fire! Marsh's shot caught the Panzer in the driver's viewport. The tank jerked to a halt. Stopped! Burning! 6 kills. Danny's hands were shaking now, not from fear, but from the sheer kinetic repetition. Grab, spin, load, grab, spin, load. His shoulders burned, his back screamed. The turret was a furnace. Temperature spiking past 110 degrees from the heat of the gun, but he didn't stop. Movement, infantry, multiple contacts, 100 yards, pushing through the smoke. HE rounds now. 3 in succession. Danny grabbed them without looking. Muscle memory taking over completely. Each shot bracketed the advancing Germans, forcing them back, breaking their assault. Whit counted the magazines. We're at 60% ammo. Watch your calls. But the Germans weren't retreating. They were regrouping. Somewhere in that tree line, someone smart was coordinating. Someone who just watched 2 Panzers die and was now planning something different. Something worse. Then everything went wrong. Danny reached for the next AP round, muscle memory guiding his hand to the right side rack, and his fingers closed on empty air. He blinked, looked down. The rack was empty. He'd burned through the ready ammunition faster than he'd calculated. The remaining AP rounds were in the hull sponson racks, awkward positions requiring him to crouch, reach down past the turret basket, grab shells blind from storage bins designed for bulk carry, not combat speed. His stomach dropped. Up! He called automatically, buying time, but there was no shell in the breach. Marsh glanced back, saw Danny's face, understood immediately. Whit! We're out of ready AP! He's got to reload from sponson! Whit's voice stayed level, but there was an edge now. How long? 8 seconds, maybe 10. 8 seconds was an eternity. 8 seconds was enough time for a German tank crew to fire twice. 8 seconds meant death if something armored appeared in that tree line. And something was appearing. Through the smoke, through the clearing fog, a 3rd Panzer IV nosed forward, this one painted in ambush camouflage. Moving slowly, deliberately, commander visible in the cupola, scanning for targets. Contact! Panzer dead ahead, 200 yards! Danny was already moving, dropping to his knees, reaching down into the sponson, fingers searching for the AP rounds he'd stacked there. His hand found one, pulled. The shell was heavy, awkward from this angle. He lifted it, spun, rammed it home. Up! 7 seconds. Marsh fired. The shot went wide, clipped the Panzer's fender, did nothing. The German tank stopped. Its gun was tracking toward them now, steady, patient, professional. Danny's hands dove back into the sponson. This was bad, really bad. Danny didn't think. He just moved. His right hand found an AP round, yanked it up, loaded. Up! Marsh fired. The Panzer's turret rang like a bell. Penetration. The German tank shuddered, stopped moving. Target left! Infantry! 80 yards! Danny's hand went low, grabbed HE from the sponson without looking, loaded. Up! The gun barked. Figures scattered. Another group. Same area. He loaded, fired, loaded, fired. A Kubelwagen tried to flee across the field. A P round. The vehicle disintegrated. 3 Germans broke from cover, running. Marsh switched to coax. Cut them down. Movement! Right flank! 120 yards! HE! Up! Fire! Danny's world narrowed to motion. Grab, spin, load, grab, spin, load. His hands were automatic now. His breath came in short gasps. Sweat poured down his face, stinging his eyes. Another target. Another kill. The rhythm was brutal, relentless. Whit's voice kept calling targets. Marsh kept firing. Danny kept loading. 10 kills, 11, 12. The tree line was thinning. The Germans were pulling back, finally, breaking contact. Smoke hung over the field like a shroud. Burning vehicles, scattered equipment, bodies. The Sherman's gun was glowing red at the muzzle brake. Then Whit's voice cut through, sharp. "Cease fire! Cease fire! Contact broken!" Danny collapsed against the turret wall, gasping. His arms felt like lead. But it wasn't over. 30 seconds of silence, then Whit's voice, quiet and tense. "Something's wrong. They pulled back too clean, too organized." Marsh scanned through his sight. Nothing moved in the tree line. No muzzle flashes, no engine sounds, just smoke and stillness. "Maybe they're done," Danny whispered, hopeful. "No," Whit's voice was cold. "Someone smart is out there watching us, waiting for us to move." And he was right. 340 yards out, concealed in a drainage ditch behind the burned-out Kubelwagen, a German tank commander named Oberleutnant Klaus Ritter lay perfectly still. He'd watched the entire engagement through binoculars, watched the American Sherman tear through his unit with impossible speed, watched his comrades die. He'd counted the shots, noted the rate of fire, calculated the ammo expenditure. The Americans had to be low, had to be. His Panzer IV sat 60 yards behind him, hull down in a depression, engine idling low, nearly silent. His crew knew the drill. Patience. Let the enemy think it's over. Let them relax. Let them start moving. Then kill them. Ritter watched the Sherman through his binoculars. The commander's hatch was still closed. Smart. The tank wasn't moving. Also smart. But they'd have to move eventually. Their track was damaged. They'd need recovery. They'd need to reposition. And when they did, he'd be waiting. Inside the Sherman, Whit made his decision. "Driver, back us up slow, 10 yards. Get us behind that barn wall." The engine revved. The left track spun. The Sherman began to pivot. Ritter smiled. "Gunner, target, range 340. Lead him." The Panzer's gun moved slowly. Precisely. Whit saw it. A glint of movement in his periscope. His blood froze. "Contact! Panzer, concealed position! 340 yards, traverse right!" Marsh swung the gun. Found nothing. "I don't see him." "Ditch behind the wreck." Danny's hand was already moving, a P-round coming up from the sponson, but his arms were exhausted. The shell slipped. He caught it, loaded it, fumbled. "Up!" 4 seconds. Too slow. Both guns fired simultaneously. The German round hit first, struck the Sherman's upper glacis at a shallow angle, deflected upward, screamed over the turret by inches. The impact rocked the tank violently. Whit's helmet cracked against the hatch rim. Marsh's round hit low, struck the berm in front of Ritter's Panzer, showered it with dirt and debris, but didn't penetrate. "Reload!" Danny grabbed another AP round. His hands were cramping. The shell felt twice as heavy. He muscled it into the breech. "Up!" The German Panzer was reversing now, trying to back into deeper cover. Ritter knew he'd missed his chance. His crew was scrambling. "Fire!" Marsh led the target, aimed where the Panzer would be in 2 seconds. Squeezed. The round caught the German tank mid-reverse, punched through the thinner side armor, penetrated the engine compartment. Flames erupted. The Panzer lurched to a stop. 3 figures bailed out. Ritter was one of them, stumbling, uniforms smoking. Marsh tracked them with the coax. His finger hovered over the trigger. "Let them go," Whit said quietly. The Germans disappeared into the tree line. Silence fell. Real silence this time. Danny slumped against the turret wall, chest heaving. His hands were bleeding, cuts from the shell casings, the metal edges of the racks. He hadn't noticed until now. 13 kills, 1 damaged Sherman, 0 casualties. Whit keyed the radio. "Ironside 6, this is Ironside 22. Contact broken, position secure. Requesting recovery vehicle for track repair. Over." The response crackled back. "Copy, 22. Recovery en route. What's your status?" Whit looked at his crew, looked at Danny, who was still trembling, looked at the gun, still smoking. "Operational." Only then did Danny lower his head. His arms hung useless at his sides. The adrenaline was draining away now, leaving behind pure exhaustion. The turret smelled like burnt powder, hot metal, and sweat. Spent shell casings littered the floor. He counted them without meaning to. 37. 37 rounds in just under 12 minutes. Marsh cracked the loader's hatch. Fresh air poured in. Cool, clean, impossibly sweet. Danny gulped it down. "You okay?" Marsh asked. Danny nodded. Couldn't speak yet. The recovery vehicle arrived 40 minutes later. A maintenance sergeant climbed onto the Sherman, inspected the damaged track, whistled low. "You boys got lucky. Another inch and you'd have lost the whole drive sprocket." Captain Brenner, the company commander, arrived an hour after that. He walked the battlefield with Whit, counting the wrecks, the bodies, the evidence. 3 Panzers, 2 half-tracks, 1 Kubelwagen, multiple infantry positions destroyed. He climbed up on the Sherman's hull, looked at Danny through the open hatch. "You're the loader?" "Yes, sir." "How many rounds did you put through this gun?" 37, sir." Brenner glanced at his watch, did the math. His eyebrows rose. That's not possible. The manual says—" "I know what the manual says, sir." Whit's voice was quiet but firm. "He rearranged the ammo racks by hand this morning, without asking permission." Brenner stared at Danny for a long moment. Then he smiled. "Show me." What Danny Kowalski did that morning changed American armor doctrine forever. Within 3 weeks, his stupid ammo arrangement was being tested at the Ordnance Department's proving grounds in Aberdeen. Within 6 months, it was official doctrine, taught to every loader in every tank school from Fort Knox to Fort Benning. The Kowalski Load, they called it, though Danny never liked the name. Reorganizing ammunition by mission probability and hand path efficiency reduced average reload times from 6.2 seconds to 3.8 seconds across the entire armored force. That might not sound like much, 2 seconds. But in tank combat, 2 seconds was the difference between firing first and dying first, between 13 kills and becoming kill number 14. Modern armor crews still train using variations of his technique. The principle remains the same: economy of motion, predictive positioning, muscle memory over conscious thought. Danny survived the war, made it through France, Belgium, and into Germany. He was awarded the Silver Star for his actions near Carentan, though he rarely wore it. After the war, he went back to Pittsburgh, reopened his father's grocery store, raised 3 kids, and never talked much about what happened. But sometimes, late at night, his hands would move in his sleep, reaching, grabbing, loading shells that weren't there anymore. History remembered what he did, even if he tried to forget. The Sherman that carried him through that morning, hull number 2031-489, sits today in the National Armor and Cavalry Museum at Fort Moore, Georgia. The turret still bears the scorch marks. The ammo racks still show his chalk marks. And every loader who walks past it knows the name Kowalski.